So years ago, I spent $25,000 on a Forbes magazine ad that brought in zero clients. It looked impressive. One third page, glossy. We framed it and hung it on the wall. Honestly, it felt like success for a little bit, but it wasn't. It was expensive validation with no return at all. What we should have done was take that same $25,000 and run $100 ads over and over in local publications, consistent, repetitive, and unavoidable. Because people don't buy from what looks impressive, they buy from what feels familiar. So here's a realization. I've always known that. I just didn't always act on it. And that's the gap I want to talk about today, the gap between knowing and doing. Sure, you might get a one hit wonder video on YouTube, but what happens next? How do you follow up? How do you convert on a single moment if you haven't built familiarity? I know now that consistency matters more than spikes. You have to show up with something of value again and again and again, sometimes for a year or more before people engage. But when you do, you attract the right audience. Now, knowing better, I catch myself thinking, I already know better than this almost every day. We're creatures of habit, sometimes good ones, more often bad ones. The realization didn't come from just one thing. It came from pressure. Pressure forces attention. It came from pain. Pain makes you want to change. It came from clarity, seeing what happens when you do it right and what happens when you go back to doing it wrong. And time helps too. Time gives perspective if you're willing to listen. So why do we delay action? Most people don't do what they know is right because they don't believe they're capable of doing it, or they're afraid of the responsibility that comes after doing the right thing. Some people even prefer chaos. Chaos feels busy, it feels exciting, it feels like progress, even when it's not. Inaction doesn't just cost time, it costs confidence, momentum, opportunities. It digs you deeper. And fear has blocked me in two opposite ways. Sometimes I feared what would happen if I didn't take action. Other times I feared what would happen if I did and had to own the outcome. It's a strange contradiction, but it's real. What about patience versus avoidance? There's a difference between patience and avoiding responsibility. Patience prepares you to act at the right moment. Avoidance guarantees you're going to miss it every time. Then there's an internal shift because at some point something clicked. You can keep observing life or you can actually live it. Living means taking action, doing the things other people won't do because they're paralyzed by fear. Fear of failure, fear of losing what they have, fear of being seen. I also realized I've been far too hard on myself. That mindset held me back. The truth is, I'm capable of doing some pretty incredible things if I step up to the plate. So why wouldn't I? So let's talk about calm and motion. Once I started moving, I felt calmer, even though nothing was solved yet, because the journey is the fun part. Working towards solutions is motivating, not just for me, but for the people around me. What surprised me most is I'm still learning, still growing, still developing skills that can help inspire others. And in this season doesn't require anything new from me. It requires what was always required: action. I'm more selective now with my time and my energy. I focus on producing value instead of getting stuck in meaningless conversations. I say no to scenarios that don't move things forward. I'm building rhythm, consistency, and I'm being more assertive. I still have a lot of go left in me, enough to take on another startup at scale. Something I thought I was done doing. Turns out I'm not done. I'm seasoned. If you know exactly what you need to do, but you keep putting it off, take the chance. Step back up to the plate. You'd be surprised how energizing it is to move again. One small action matters more than endless thinking. Putting yourself out there. Make mistakes. At first, nobody's really paying attention, anyways, and that's a gift. You're building confidence, you're building your story. If you take responsibility today, you'll realize what you feared wasn't nearly as big as you imagined. But if you wait, that fear grows and self sabotage moves in. That's what I have for today. One day better.